Hello, everyone, and welcome by Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Horror Heaven77, and this week I'm reviewing a film from 1973, and you already know which one it is by the title, but this is one of the Midnite movies collection, starring the fantastic Vincent Price. It's like, oh man, easily one of the best, just top of the line horror actors who ever lived. The movie I'm reviewing is Theater of Blood, and this movie is it's an absolute hoot. I love this movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. I do remember hearing, though, unfortunately, that Vincent Price, when he made this movie, he wasn't really all that thrilled with it because, like I said, the movie came out in 1973, so this movie is probably being made in 1972, and at this time, this is when horror movies were starting to, become more and more gorier, and they were, trying to put more elaborate kills into horror films to try to make them more interesting and try to make special effects a selling point of horror films and things. So I remember him not being all that much of a fan of, how gruesome and violent some of the death scenes in this movie are. But even if that was the case, one thing I can say about Price was that, he still delivers, man. I mean, he gives it his all. He is so compelling to watch in this movie. It's as good as anything he's ever done. And, if you're a Vincent Price fan, if you haven't seen this one yet, I definitely say get your hands on this one. I would say, personally, this is just my opinion, but I would say this movie very much comes off like a horror film. Horror film. Jesus Christ. A slasher film is what I meant to say. A horror film. Well, yeah, if this wasn't a horror film, then I'm definitely on the wrong channel. Anyway, so yeah, this movie comes off very much as, a slasher film. Price stars in the movie as a Shakespearean actor who's kind of very over the top, and a lot of his performances are very hammy. And one of the things I think is really fun about watching this movie is watching Vincent Price juxtapose from in scenes where he's not playing the character of Edward Lionheart acting the Shakespeare roles. When you just see Vincent Price just acting, it's, he's top notch. He's as good as he's ever been. But at the same time, when he's playing Edward Lionheart, playing the Shakespearean roles, he's very funny. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's very over the top and bombastic, and to me that just kind of adds another wonderful layer to his performance in this movie. So anyway, so Edward Lionheart, he has a daughter named Edwina who is played by Diana Rigg. Diana Rigg, everybody knows as Emma Peel from the TV show The Avengers. Before she passed away, everybody remembered her, from Game of Thrones and so on. She'd been acting and acting for decades upon decades, and she's really good in this movie. There is only one problem, though, and I don't really think I'm spoiling this by giving this little tidbit of information away. Vincent Price, when he goes to murder his critics, and I'll get to that in a minute, when he goes to murder his victims, he's always assisted by this hippie-ish looking character. And, it's got like big bushy mustache, always wears sunglasses, got a big brown curly hair, kind of afro wig and everything. The one problem, though, it's not very hard to, when you're sitting there watching that, you already know it's Edwina. You could tell it's Diana Rigg's character. So that's the one thing I will say. And, I'm sorry if I end up spoiling that for anybody, but yeah, I mean, it just, to me, it seems like, how could you not know? It's too easy to foreshadow that character is Edwina, because even though it's like dressed like a man with a mustache, I mean, you could tell the mustache looks fake, the wig looks fake, and also, speaks and moves and everything does kind of very feminine. So it's not really that much of a surprise when you find out that Edward's, cohort murder is his daughter, Edwina. So, but other than that, so, okay, the story centers around Edward Lionheart, played by Vincent Price. How many times have I said that sentence by now? But anyway, so yeah. And he's this Shakespearean actor. He feels like he's been wronged by these theater critics. And at one point, they were supposed to give out a a Critics' Choice Award, basically. And Price's character, Lionheart, believed he was going to get it. He just, one thing you're going to find out about Lionheart as a character is his character is very much a legend in his own mind. He really thinks that he is the greatest actor who has ever lived. You know, forget, you know, Olivier, forget any great actor you've ever heard of. In Lionheart's mind, he's the best of the best of the best. And then when he doesn't get this Critics Award, he goes and he finds out that these critics have been writing really bad reviews about his, you know, his performance in plays and things. And at one point, he makes, he basically, they're having this reception in this hotel room. You know, it's a very high balcony, and Price comes in and he's upset that, you know, he didn't get the award, and he's, you know, basically calling out these critics, calling them hacks, saying, you know, you wouldn't know good acting, and I'm the best. And so they're, you know, they're trying to say like, no, we don't agree that you're a great actor. And his daughter, Edwina, she comes in and she tries to persuade Edward, you know, to just leave it be and go away and all this kind of stuff. Well, Edward, he starts, you know, doing the monologue from Hamlet, you know, to be or not to be, that is the question. And he goes out on the balcony and all these critics are watching, and Edward just decides to take his own life and jump off this balcony and plummet into the river down below. And so basically his character is presumed to be dead. But what ends up happening is that Edward washes up ashore, I guess you could say. And he's found by this collection of crazy homeless derelicts who, you know, at first they're trying to rob him. But when they realize he's still alive, they basically, you know, take him in and clean him up. And over time, he's able to gain control over these people. And they basically become his kind of his partners in crime. And so now you got Edward, his daughter, and these homeless people. They decide to take revenge on all of Edward's critics. And what he decides to do, very much in the fashion of like Seven. I don't know if Andrew Kevin Walker, when he wrote the screenplay for Seven, I don't know if this movie ever played any kind of influence to him, but, you know, if it did, I could see where it would have. What he ends up doing is Lionheart he has a list of Shakespeare performances that he had performed over the year, or, you know, kind of like when they do like a theater set, you know, they have these set plays that they do. And what he decides is each one of these critics, he decides to murder reminiscent of a murder scene in a Shakespeare play. I will say probably the most gruesome part in this movie is the scene where Edward Lionheart, I'm sorry if I'm stumbling a lot. I'm really not trying to give away too much, you know, for those who haven't seen the movie yet. But Lionheart, his character, decides to exact revenge on one of his critics using a murder scene from the Shakespeare play Titus Andronica, in which a woman is forced to eat the bodies of her children baked into a pie. And so what he decides to do instead is one of his critics, he's one of the critics played by the late Robert Morley, is always going on about his two poodles. And he's always saying that, you know, like his poodles are his babies, and, you know, kind of like his poodles are his kids and things like that. So basically, yeah, I will say, you know, that probably is the most gruesome scene in the movie. And I will say also too, if you're an animal lover, you're really not going to like the way this scene turns out. But I think I've already given away too much of it now that you probably already get the gist of what I'm telling you. So anyway, but yeah, so as he starts going down, like there's, you know, one critic, he decides to murder him using the stabbing scene from Julius Caesar. And there's a very fun fencing scene between Vincent Price's character and one of the critics, played by Hendry, who's a British actor. If horror fans would probably most remember him from the Amicus Tales from the Crypt. He was the star of the segment where the man is the businessman. He's running out on his wife and his children because he's got a lover. They get into a car crash, and then you know, he escapes from the wreck, and then like he's looking around, but most of the segment is shot from his point of view, and it's like when people see him, they freak out and run away, and then it's revealed that like he's basically kind of a walking zombie corpse, and his face is completely burned, unrecognizable. So that's the same guy who's the main critic in this. But there's a very fun scene where they're fencing and fighting, and at which and he tries to get away from Vincent Price's character. So, and that's like another thing too about this movie. There's a lot of humor in it, a lot of dark humor, quirky humor, and I think it's delightful. I think it's a lot of fun to watch, and yeah, but I can't really recommend this movie enough. Even though I know, from my understanding, Price was not the biggest fan of this. I don't think he considered it like the greatest work he ever did, but the best part is, that's what I love, is when you get an actor or an actress who, when they, when, even if they're given a project that they don't really want to do, or the material doesn't really appeal to them, as an actor or an actress, they still go in there and give it their best shot. They're like, okay, even if this isn't something I don't really have my whole heart and soul into, I'm still going to go in and do the best I can with it. And that's what Price did. And to me, there's nothing worse than when you get like an actor or an actress who, when they get a project, it's like they don't care. They make it clear they don't care. They're going to let anybody who will listen, they will tell they hated the project, hated the material, didn't care about it, didn't even want to try, Rooney Mara, Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Anyway, but yeah, to me, so even if this wasn't Price's his most favorite project that he ever did, he still delivers the goods. He's still great. He's still worth watching. And if you're a Vincent Price fan, I say give it a shot. If you are a Vincent Price fan, but you're not really the biggest fan of his earlier works, and you kind of wish he had done movies with a little bit more creative kills, a little more blood and gore, things like that, then I would definitely say give Theater of Blood a shot. I think you're really going to enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, and I think honestly too, I mean, the movie, in my opinion, plays out very much like a slasher movie, even though it's 1973. In my opinion, I mean, they always say, like Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Black Christmas, like these movies were, kind of the prototypes which would lead up to the slasher movies of the late 70s going on in the 80s. And in my opinion, I put this movie into that category as well. This movie definitely, in my opinion, has very much of a slasher movie feel to it. But anyway, that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it. It's just, unfortunately, just you do get some trivia on here, some fun fact. Let's see here. Due to the location used for the movie was one of the location used for the movie was the Putney Hippodrome, built in 1906. The spooky London Playhouse had been boarded up for some 14 years when the filmmakers decided to give it one last shot. The blazing special effects were orchestrated by movie magic man John Steer, who also worked on such film classics as Fiddler on the Roof. To create the grisly gore of the 8 brutal murders, the filmmakers used over 6 gallons of movie makeup blood. So some fun facts for you, but unfortunately no real special features, just the original theatrical trailer. That's about all you're going to have with it, but still a good addition. And yeah, I was looking to see if this was on Blu-ray at some point, and it's like apparently, Twilight Time did put out a Blu-ray of it, but now it's pretty much out of print and if you try to get it, it goes for ridiculous prices. So, and one other last thing to note, this movie, the director is Douglas Hickox, who is actually the father of Anthony Hickox, who we all remember as the writer-director of the Waxwork films, and the co-writer-director of Sundown, The Vampire Retreat, of course. What was it? Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, what was it? Warlock 2, so on and so forth, So I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit of, movie trivia for you. But yeah, so the man who directed this is the father of the director of the Waxwork film. So that's pretty cool and pretty interesting, I think. But anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. So yeah, I mean, I definitely say give this movie a try. If you love Vincent Price, you're going to love him in this. And, if you kind of want a Vincent Price movie with a little more schmutz, a little more blood and gore, then I definitely say give Theater of Blood a chance. I think you really like it. I really did. So, but yeah, anyway, that's going to do it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. And I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Friday reviewer. Different guys. Everybody's all doing great stuff. And yeah, more to come. So everybody take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.